you're weak and you don't even know it. What I mean by this and what this title is referring to is the false ideology around Gen Z and how they tend to attach themselves to disorders and mental health, problems and things of that nature to form a identity in who they are and to create this character as if it was a video game in this real world. Now, I have, four topics, not really topics, but four little subgenres or just things that revolve around this whole title that I want to go over and talk about in this video. And the goal that I'm trying to get at and get across in this message in this video is to just be yourself and not try to identify yourself to one thing or to one term, and do challenging things that actually builds and inspires character growth. And the reason why I may be looking down, or that I am looking down, is because I have notes written down right here that I can go over, and talk about it into this video. But without further ado, I'm gonna just get straight into it. A thing with this whole problem, and why people feel like they have the need to do this, and why they choose to do this, is because they simply don't want to face their own problems and take responsibility. Now, this can go with anything that say a Gen Z or person may want to identify with, as far as being, having depression, or being an introvert, or being, socially anxious and having social anxiety, or I'm an emo girl, or something like this. You know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to the people out there that try to do that, because, everybody wants to be unique and special in their own way. So they try to do these things to bridge the gap and not fit into the norm of society, and, not be average. But at the same time, this can be harming and damaging, not only to your mental health, with real mental health problems, but just how you perceive yourself in real life. Because when you decide and when you start doing these things, when you start identifying yourself with terms, that's another thing on here, or just in general in this topic that I'm talking about. When you start to identify yourself with terms, you start to take less responsibilities in the actions that you may have messed up in, because you can just go off of that, or be like, oh, I'm depressed, or oh, I'm this, I'm that. You know what I mean? And then giving yourself an excuse to do what you may have did that was, either wrong or right. Some people may not even think that they're in the wrong, because, they identify with whatever term that they, chose to brand themselves as, and therefore not take responsibility in the things that may have happened to them. And when you do this, this can keep you stagnant and not be able to fully know who you are. Not to say that you would know who you are, because at the end of the day, and as you go through and experience life, you're always going to change. You probably won't ever be the same all the time. You know what I mean? You may not be the same person as you was 2 years versus now. 2 years ago versus now. You know what I mean? So it's always going to change. The way you perceive yourself, the way you think, it's always going to change. It's not going to always, stay the same. But when you box yourself in and you just give yourself this one-dimensional idea about yourself and how you perceive yourself, you don't have any room to grow and, become better, as a person, and growing your character, instead of just being in this one ideal terminology or, mindset. When instead, if you were able to just have somewhat of self-awareness about yourself. Not all the way, because like I said, I feel like nobody will really know who they truly are. You know what I mean? You may have a sense of it, but it's always going to change. But if you have some type of awareness of who you are, of self, then you should be wanting to grow and change your character just off of that. You know what I mean? And being able to face challenges and question things in life that may question your character and who you are, as a being. Because if you don't, like I said, and you box yourself in, you just will be stagnant and won't see any growth as a person in life. And, with this whole thing, and like I just said, with the whole terminology things, most people like to use these things to cope, you know what I mean, to just be able to get through life in the easy way. You know what I mean? As far as, people saying they're depressed, or, they're an introvert, or they're an extrovert, or, they're conservative, they're a stoic being, you know what I mean? And I feel like, especially when it comes to the mental health aspect and how Gen Z and people try to seem like this is so cool, and like, being depressed is such a cool thing, and it's the new wave to, fit in and be around people and things like that. It actually comes off very disrespectful, and I find it they're very disrespectful to the people who have to, a day-to-day basis, something that they are clinically diagnosed with, and you on the other side of the screen. Because let's be honest, people is not going up and communicating in real life and creating, in real life interactions with other beings. Nigga, your whole personality is through a screen. Nigga, you haven't touched grass in about 2 months, bro. 2 months, bro. And that's just how it is now. I don't mean to say that to be, bashing anybody, but that's just how the world is now, bro. People form identities and, base their personality and meet people and just do things throughout the internet. Shout out to Gerber Johnson, right? I think. My bad if I said that wrong or got that incorrect, but that's something that, I learned from his video about this topic. And, it's just the day and age and where, society is and where life is now. But people always say this and try to act like it's so cool, but 9 times out of 10, they never been depressed in their life. They may have had mood swings, they may have felt different emotions throughout life, but that don't mean that you are clinically, diagnosed with depression. You have clinical depression, you know what I mean? You are actually conservative and don't, reach out and branch yourself out to other people, you know what I mean? Cause you saying this, but 9 times out of 10, you got internet, you got hot water, you got food on the table, you got clothes on your back, you got a game system to play with, you got a car, you got a job, you got a roof over your head. Shit is really good. Shit is going good for you. But you gotta think about the people who don't have none of that. They the ones that's really depressed and really going through stuff. You have it easy, but you want to use these things to cope and just get through life in an easy way and just normalize it and make it seem, like it's so cool. Because it's the honest truth. 9 times out of 10, you are not clinically, diagnosed with depression, and you aren't actually going through some type of form of real depression. You're just saying that, to be cool. You know what I mean? Think about the other people who are really going through stuff that don't have, the things that you have. Simply as internet, bro. some people, out fighting for their lives, you know what I mean? Gotta keep their head on the swivel the whole time. And that can go with the whole world. But just think about it in other countries, you know what I mean? It's not as easy for them, as it is for you. So stop throwing that around and trying to make it so cool, like, it's just something to be accepted and, it's just something to cope with. Like, no, don't use it like that, bro. And stop trying to make yourself so different and unique. You know what I mean? I understand why people want to do that, because you may not want to be labeled basic or average or normal. But you got to understand, you get up and you pee in the morning too, bro. Don't even lie to me. You get up and you pee in the morning too. When your stomach hurt, you going to take a shit too, bro. Just like everybody else. Because once you start trying to use these terms and these labels to identify yourself, and just try so hard to be different, in the end you end up being just the same as anybody else that you could meet probably on the internet. Because I feel like if you are actually out and experiencing life and meeting people and forming, communication and building relationships in the real world, stuff like this wouldn't happen. But, that could be something on a way deeper topic, than just this. But, you know what I mean? You're not that different from everybody else, my guy. You're just not. I understand that, you want to be and you want to bridge and try to be your own self. But when you try to do these things to cope and make it seem like it's so cool, you just end up being the same as, the majority of people, on the internet. You know what I mean? And you're always going to change. And if you want to be able to not be the same as everybody else and want to be somewhat independent and have somewhat of an identity for yourself and be somewhat unique, you're going to have to put work in to yourself. You know what I mean? Do deep shadow work and go within self and be able to accept challenges and do things that the majority is not doing. That's how you bridge yourself and be different from everybody else. Challenging yourself and doing things that most of the people in society don't want to do. And just doing those things to overall make you more unique and be identified as, one person. You know what I mean? Because just by you saying that you're this and this and that, what makes you really different? Even if it makes it seem like you are so much different, you really not. Because you can hop on TikTok right now and scroll through your For You page and see many, 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 many people just like you doing the same thing, trying to use these terms to cope and things of that nature. But if you are out here doing stuff that's actually challenging and develops character and doing things that, that ain't easy and that most people are not trying to do, then that's what really separates you from the average person and makes you become, your own being, your own identity, you know what I mean? And becoming an individual of your own self. So that's just what I wanted to get on here and talk about. Like I said, shout out to Gerber Johnson. You know what I mean? I got this idea from his channel, so I'm not here to plagiarize or do anything like that. I pay my respect and give salute back out to anybody that's, trying to help out and, the self-improvement genre here on YouTube or whatever like that. So, like I said, just at the end of the day, be yourself and do things that challenge you to, question yourself and see who you are as a being, and do things that, the majority are not doing in order to build character. Let me know if it's some things I could have elaborated on better. Um, anything I could have said better, or some things I may have missed out or pointed out more. Um, I'm not gonna say I'm necessarily new because I've been doing this, but I'm trying to expand and get better with my content generally. So if anybody has any suggestions or ideas to help me out, that would be very much appreciated. But I still gotta try to do the things on my end too to make it as best as I can. But thanks for that, and make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace out.